This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by Greenworks Consults, a company run by longtime listener to the show, Jason, who's an expert when it comes to helping businesses get better at doing business. Jason and his team over at Greenworks Consults are good at helping entrepreneurs tune up and dial in their business operations through better project management, workflow mapping and design, and process standardization. They're experts in Lean and Six Sigma and can work with you to make things run more smoothly and profitably. Learn more about what Greenworks Consults is up to over at greenworksconsults.com, with works spelled W-O-R-X. That's greenworksconsults.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Thursday, January 16th, 2020, and you're tuned in to episode 867 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Kyle Yeager over at Marijuana Moment kicks off our news day today with a pickup of news out of Washington, D.C., where yesterday the House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee on Health held a hearing to discuss 6 marijuana-related bills, including the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, or the MORE Act, which would deschedule marijuana while setting up automatic expungement for cannabis crimes, and a 5% sales tax to fund reinvestment projects for communities hit hardest by the war on marijuana. The hearing was a little lopsided in terms of those testifying, with the docket packed with witnesses from the DEA, the Food and Drug Administration, and the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Kyle's story is 100% something you should open up in full today, if only to get a better sense of the current federal state of marijuana research policy. There was a lot of questions asked about the limited supply of marijuana for research purposes, particularly to DEA Senior Policy Advisor Matthew Straight. Another notable note on the day was the support given to more progressive marijuana policy reform by Congressman Joe Kennedy III, a former prohibitionist who is fully in the midst of pivoting over to our side. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Open this one up, give it a read, give it a watch. We jump down to Baltimore, Maryland for top story number 2, as the Baltimore Sun reported long lines stretching around blocks full of people waiting to buy legal medical marijuana strains from a California-based brand. This one grabs the second spot today, as I think it suggests a probable future where established brands in Western marijuana markets are easily able to land in states like Maryland through exclusive licensing deals. This is obviously not something particularly new, as companies like Colorado-based Dixie Elixir have long made licensing deals in other states for their products to be locally made and sold, but that does not make the trend any less important to notice. In Baltimore, it was the Cookies brand that was catching all the attention. The California-based company licensed its brand and provided seeds for a Maryland company to grow and then sell. This is generally a storyline you probably want to have a good handle on, so another one I'd add to your list to read today. Thomas Mitchell over at Denver Westword brings home our final top headline with news that Colorado state lawmakers will soon take up consideration of a bill to remove residency requirements for people working within the state's legal marijuana industry. That requirement means that if anyone in the industry from another state needs to come into Colorado to work, say to train up people or otherwise share their knowledge with in-state businesses, they need to be registered as a visitor and escorted by a specially appointed minder the entire time they're working. The rule was put in place back in the day when there was hardly any other adult use states, but that's obviously changed. Colorado and Illinois are currently the only 2 states that mandate that cannabis industry workers be residents. The proposed legislation, House Bill 1080, was introduced by Representative Matt Gray and is scheduled for its first hearing early next month. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Greenworks Consults, which is run by a longtime listener to the show, Jason, who's an expert when it comes to helping businesses get better at doing business. The days of just being able to open your doors and start selling marijuana easily are over. And it's the smart operators who make sure to tune up and dial their businesses right from the start who are going to continue to survive and thrive in our ever-changing industry. Every dollar that you waste is a dollar that isn't going to furthering your business goals or going into your bank account. And the funny thing about operating efficiency delinquencies as they don't go away. So every month, you'll see the same hit to your pocketbook again and again and again each month. Those dollars add up. By working with pros like Jason and his team at Greenworks Consults, you'll plug up all the operational leaks, draining away your money month to month. Greenworks Consults knows all the different ways that businesses can optimize their work to realize higher profits. If you like higher profits, get in touch with Jason and his team at Greenworks Consults, and they'll lead you to them. Learn more about all the things that Greenworks Consults is capable of and get in touch over at greenworksconsults.com, with works spelled WORX. All right, time for the Blitz. We have some numbers out of Michigan, which is reporting just over $10 million in legal marijuana business in the first 6 weeks after sales were first allowed, generating $1.6 million in tax revenue for the state. There are currently 16 adult use dispensaries in Michigan, with another 19 licensed but not yet operational, with most of those citing low marijuana supply as a reason for not having yet thrown open their doors. Jumping back to Colorado, we have another important marijuana-related bill, this time one that would protect people from being fired from their jobs because of after-hours marijuana use. Even though cannabis has been legally sold in Colorado since 2014, employers can still freely fire workers for consuming, even if the person used marijuana at home during their own free time. House Bill 1089 was introduced by Representative Hovind Melton and is notable for not carving out exemptions for people in so-called safety-sensitive jobs, unlike every other state that's passed cannabis-related job protections. That means if the bill passes, even someone driving a bus or working a construction job can't be fired if they choose to use marijuana after work, as it should be. Digiday is a good piece up, looking at a new business strategy being discussed by Stormy Simon, the newly appointed CEO to the High Times company, which is best known for their magazine and Cannabis Cup events series. Ms. Simon, who just stepped up to the top spot at the struggling media company, said that High Times should be working to establish itself as a marijuana retailer. Furthermore, she said that High Times has already purchased cannabis business licenses, though did not say where or share any details for when they expect to build out. This does seem like an obviously smart play for the 47-year-old company, which is currently fairly laden with debt. Vermont Governor Phil Scott is apparently warming up to the idea of his state allowing for legal marijuana sales. Vermont made adult use legal back in 2018 via legislation, but stopped short of setting up a taxed and regulated sales program, instead just allowing adults of age to grow, possess, share, and use cannabis, but not to sell. As Marijuana Moment has it, though, a couple of interviews given recently by Scott administration officials hint that the governor is considering plans to set up a commercial sales program. If Vermont is at all on your marijuana radar, this is probably one you want to dive into fully. We have another story of a state governor pledging to legalize adult use marijuana, this time with New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham stating in a legislative agenda that she sent to state lawmakers that she wanted to see a legalization bill passed during this year's short month-long legislative session, set to kick off on January 21st. Given the shortness of this session, this one is significant because we could see New Mexico join the ranks of adult use states before the snow melts, assuming you have any snow this tepid climate change-smacked winter. Deb Borchardt over Green Market Report has a story that we need to give a quick disclosure on, as it concerns our sponsor Curaleaf, which just announced that it has closed on a $300 million senior secured term loan facility, which the multi-state cannabis operator says will be used to refinance existing debts, to pay for acquisition and transaction fees from last year, and to fund capital projects and general expenses. Swing over to Green Market Report for more numbers and details here. We wrap up today with a report just issued by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, looking at 809 patients in Illinois, Wisconsin, and Utah who suffered health issues from the use of vaporizers. According to the CDC, 131 of those patients, or 16%, said they bought their vaporizers at commercial stores, with the remaining number saying they got their vapes from friends, family, or the illicit market. One thing to note here is that none of the 3 states studied had legal adult use during last year, as Illinois just started allowing for the sales on January 1st. Wisconsin has no legal medical marijuana, while Utah barely does. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Greenworks Consults, and to our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.